to the team that the Leafs absolutely demolished this week, the Vancouver Canucks. Coming into the season, I actually kind of like the Canucks. And listen, I know everyone was talking about this on Twitter and how Jim Benning screwed up their depth and their bottom six is overpaid. And, they had to let Tyler Toffoli walk because they couldn't afford him.
Shit.
Saying all that. And it sounds terrible, but then when you look at their top six forwards, they still have a lot of talent in that top six. They have Quinn Hughes on the back end, who right now is leading all defensemen in scoring in the NHL.
Yeah.
The one area where I was not sold on this Canucks team was their goaltending, because I thought losing Jacob Markstrom was going to be a big problem. And so far, it has been a problem, but you can probably look more to the team defense and the defense core for a lot of the issues this team has had. But Lepore, I mentioned this off the top of the show. This team has been outscored 23-9 in 4 straight losses to the top 2 teams in the Canadian division, the Habs and the Leafs. So what are your thoughts on this Canucks team? Are the Leafs just that good, or are the Canucks in deep, deep trouble here?
To answer that question specifically, they got to get out of this defensive funk, because it could be a slippery slope right now. And the way the division is playing out, I mean, we all see Toronto, Montreal near the top, and then that kind of cluster of teams fighting for 3 and 4, maybe after Winnipeg. Winnipeg's looking pretty good. But if they don't figure this out, I mean, they're going to fall behind in a hurry. Looking at their record, you can take away 3 wins from the Senators. So if you evaluate whatever, they're 6-9, something like that. So you take away 3 wins, and I mean, everyone's going to play the Sens, but people know what I'm referring to in the way that, you're 3-9 against teams not named the Ottawa Senators. So not looking good. Just look at the back end. I mean, nothing jumps out as bad, but it's okay. Alex Edler, what is he at this point in his career? Tyler Myers, one of those guys who never really ended up being what we hoped he would be from his early signs in the NHL. Jordy Ben. You mentioned Quinn Hughes is an absolute stud, but it looks bad. It's all that stuff. When the Leafs looked as good as they looked in the last 2 games, it's a combination of, the Leafs are really good offensively and this team is not very good defensively, but the body language was not good. And it's hard to have good body language when you're getting beaten up on, but that team looked beat. And even again, that's, as I mentioned earlier, I expected the Leafs to kind of have a tough one in that second game. And the Canucks, it didn't even seem like they put up a fight, man. You always expect that team to kind of rally around a loss and jump on their opponent because their opponent maybe takes them too lightly, but nope. It just, if anything, that game last night was easier than the first game. And again, look at the goalies. Speaking of body language, that's a meme that's going around, Holtby's face, after Matthews' goal, and even Demko just with his head down in his shoulder pads. And Travis Green seems like a really good guy. He seems like the type of coach that players would really love playing for. And we're never in the locker room. We just kind of get these gauges off what we see people say in the media and their quick snippets in interviews. But he's going to have to show it, because he's got to motivate these guys, because right now they do not look motivated.
And I think the biggest thing, you hit on it briefly, was how, I'll give the Canucks the benefit of the doubt playing their 3rd game in 4 nights in the first game of the week against the Leafs. They lost 7-3, throw that out the window. So you say, this team can't possibly be this bad.
Yeah.
And then they come out again on Saturday night and just get run over again. And like you said, just to see Braden Holtby absolutely stunned, rattled, whatever you want to call it, just the body language of some of the players on the Canucks, it doesn't look good right now. And I think this team getting beat like that 2 games in a row against the Leafs, and really 4 games in a row if you include the Montreal Canadiens games as well, I think that team has come to the realization that they're just not in the same class.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. They showed one screenshot of the bench, and I thought that to myself of the looks on the guys' faces, kind of that look of defeat in the way of these guys are just too good for what we are right now. That's what it looked like.
And you can look at Louis Erickson and how they're paying him $6 million, and Antoine Roussel $3 million, Jay Beagle $3 million. Like, yeah, there are some bad contracts on this team, and the bottom six is not good. And when you stack it up against the bottom six of the Leafs or the Habs, it's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that with the talent that this team has, when you just think about down the middle, when you have Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat and Brock Besser and JT Miller on the wings, and this team is very talented. And Quinn Hughes, like we talked about, this team has the talent. And I think when you just think about this Canadian division in general, like, okay, the Senators are done. They're a mess. The Oilers, besides McDavid and Draisaitl, depth-wise are kind of a disaster as well, especially defensively. This Canucks team, I still think, based on the talent that they do have on paper, should still be in the mix to make the playoffs in this division.